All right, so today we're going to be diving in something that I think a lot of people are curious about, and that is mindfulness meditation. We're going to try to figure out, why it's so popular these days,
Mhm.
how it works, and, does it really live up to all the hype? We'll be using an article called Benefits of Mindfulness Meditation, a Comprehensive Guide, and that's from the blog Limitless Living. So that'll be our guide for this deep dive today.
Yeah, and it's interesting, this practice has been around for centuries, but modern research is really starting to give us a look under the hood, so to speak. We're really seeing its effects on the brain in a whole new light.
So it's not just ancient wisdom. There's like actual science backing it up.
Okay.
I'm intrigued already. The article mentions that mindfulness is all about present moment awareness. They even quote the American Psychological Association's definition: the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally.
And it's that last part, that non-judgmental piece, that's really key. Think of it like this. Imagine your thoughts are like cars driving by. You're not trying to stop the traffic. You're just observing it without getting in any of the cars.
Okay, that's a great analogy. So it's not about emptying your mind,
Yeah.
which is what I always thought meditation was about. It's more about just observing those thoughts and feelings as they pop up
Yeah.
without labeling them as good or bad.
You got it.
Yeah.
And get this, studies are showing that practicing mindfulness can actually change the physical structure of your brain.
Wait, really? So it's not just a mental shift, it's actually rewiring things up there.
Exactly. Studies have shown that mindfulness can have a measurable impact on areas of the brain related to attention, how we process emotions, and even self-awareness.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm starting to see why there's so much buzz around this. So how does mindfulness meditation actually work? What are like the key ingredients?
Well, the article breaks it down into three core components. First, there's that awareness we were just talking about,
Yeah.
the state of being present with your thoughts and feelings. Second is the non-judgmental observation, so that skill of noticing without labeling or getting carried away by the thought.
And the third component, if I'm following along correctly, is focus. Like choosing something specific to focus your attention on.
You're right on track. That focus, often on something like your breath, helps to anchor your attention and train your mind to stay present.
Okay, so we've got the definition, we've got
Yeah.
the brain science, we've got the core components, but let's get to the heart of the matter. The article lists a ton of potential benefits. Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with one that you're probably familiar with, stress. You know how stress just seems to be a fact of life these days? Well, mindfulness has been scientifically proven to lower your levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone.
Well, who couldn't use a little less of that running through their system? I'm definitely feeling that cortisol spike just thinking about my to-do list. But how does mindfulness actually reduce stress?
It's like hitting the pause button on that fight or flight response. By bringing your attention to the present moment, you're essentially short-circuiting that cascade of stress hormones.
So less stress is a big win. The article also mentioned improved sleep as a benefit. That definitely catches my attention. I know you've mentioned techniques like MBSR before. Does that tie into this somehow?
It does. MBSR, or mindfulness-based stress reduction, is a program that incorporates mindfulness and has shown real promise in helping people sleep better, especially useful for those struggling with insomnia.
Okay, noting that down for future deep dives. Now, this next benefit really speaks to me as a lifelong learner. Enhanced focus. The article suggests mindfulness can actually help you concentrate better. Is that right?
Absolutely. Think about it. When you train your mind to stay present and resist distractions, you're essentially building your attention span muscle. You're getting better at focusing on what matters.
That's a game changer in this world of constant notifications and information overload. And it's not just about productivity, right? The article also talks about a boost in emotional well-being. What's the connection there?
Mindfulness helps you develop a healthier relationship with your emotions. It's not about ignoring or suppressing feelings. It's about learning to observe them without judgment, just like those cars passing by. This allows you to respond to them in a more skillful way.
So instead of just reacting impulsively, you're creating space between the feeling and the action. That sounds like a recipe for better relationships, not just with yourself, but with everyone around you.
Exactly. And that leads us to another benefit you might not expect, weight management.
Really? That's fascinating. How does mindfulness tie into something like weight?
It's about cultivating awareness. Mindfulness helps you tune into your body's cues, your actual hunger signals, your cravings, even your emotional triggers for eating. You start making more conscious choices.
So it's not about dieting or restriction. It's more about developing a healthier, more mindful relationship with food. I think a pattern here.
You're catching on quickly. It's all about awareness and choice. Now we've covered stress, sleep,
Right.
focus, emotional well-being, and even weight management. But the article lists even more potential benefits.
Wait, there's more. What else is on this mindfulness menu of awesomeness?
We've got pain management, improved cognitive function, reduced loneliness, and even support for managing chronic conditions.
Wow, the list just keeps growing. Let's unpack these a bit further before we move on. How does mindfulness help manage pain?
Well, studies show that it can reduce both how intensely you perceive pain and your emotional response to it. This is especially helpful for people dealing with chronic pain conditions, as it can really improve their quality of life.
That makes sense. And improve cognitive function. Does that tie back to the focus benefit we talked about?
It does, but it goes beyond just attention. Mindfulness can also boost memory, problem-solving abilities, and overall cognitive flexibility.
That's music to my ears as a lifelong learner. And reduce loneliness. How does that fit in?
Well, loneliness is a growing concern these days. Mindfulness helps to cultivate a sense of connection, both to yourself and to others. It's about appreciating the simple things, being present in the moment, and finding joy in everyday experiences.
It's like mindfulness helps you tap into that inner peace and connection that's always available, regardless of your external circumstances.
Exactly. And finally, let's touch on support for chronic conditions. We're talking about things like heart disease, diabetes, PTSD, and many more.
So mindfulness isn't a cure-all, but it can help people better manage these conditions and improve their overall well-being. It sounds like it's a valuable tool to have in your arsenal, no matter what you're facing in life.
Precisely. And that brings us to the next big question. How do you actually start incorporating mindfulness into your life?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. This all sounds incredible, but where do you even begin? The article does offer some suggestions for getting started.
It does. And they're simpler than you might think. The first step is finding a quiet space.
So somewhere you can minimize distractions and really focus on the practice.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. A comfy spot in your home will do. The second step is setting a time limit.
Don't go for a marathon meditation session right off the bat. Start small and gradually increase the time as you get more comfortable. Baby steps, right?
Exactly. And the final step, at least for starting out, is focusing on your breath. Your breath acts as an anchor, tethering your attention to the present moment.
Just notice the sensation of your breath as it flows in and out. That's it. It seems almost too simple.
That's the beauty of it. Mindfulness is accessible to anyone, regardless of their experience or background. You don't need any special skills or equipment, just a willingness to try.
Yeah. It really is amazing how something as simple as like focusing on your breath can have such a profound impact. But you're right. Focusing on your breath for an extended period of time can be a little monotonous, especially when you're first starting out.
Exactly. And thankfully, the article dives into a few techniques and exercises that can make practicing mindfulness a bit more engaging.
Yeah. One popular technique is called the body scan. Body scan. That sounds interesting. What is that exactly?
It's a simple yet powerful practice where you bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting with your toes and slowly moving up to the top of your head. As you focus on each area, simply notice any sensations that arise: warmth, tingling, pressure, tightness, just whatever you feel without judging them.
It sounds like a great way to cultivate a deeper awareness of your physical body and how it feels in the present moment.
Exactly. Another option, and this is a great one for beginners, is guided meditation.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of those. There are tons of apps and online resources for them, right?
Absolutely. Guided meditations provide verbal instructions and imagery to help you focus your attention and cultivate different states of mind. There are guided meditations for stress reduction, sleep, compassion, focus, you name it.
It sounds like a great way to get started with mindfulness. If you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed, just pop in your headphones and let the guide lead the way. What are some other techniques people can explore?
Another one that's gaining popularity is walking meditation.
Walking meditation. I thought meditation involved sitting still.
It often does, but walking meditation is a fantastic way to bring mindfulness into an everyday activity. So instead of focusing on your breath, you focus on the sensations of your feet as they make contact with the ground. Pay attention to the movement of your legs, the feeling of the air on your skin, the sounds around you. It's about bringing that present moment awareness to the act of walking.
That's brilliant. It's like turning a simple walk into a moving meditation,
Mm.
and really highlights that mindfulness isn't limited to formal meditation practice.
Precisely. You don't have to be sitting on a cushion in a quiet room to be mindful. You can integrate it into your daily life. finding little pockets of time to tune in to the present moment throughout your day.
So what are some examples of how someone could do that?
Well, the article mentions a few that I really like. You can practice mindfulness while you're eating, really paying attention to the taste, the texture, the smell of each bite. You can be mindful while you're showering, noticing the sensation of the water on your skin. You can even be mindful while you're commuting, paying attention to the sights and sounds around you.
That's so helpful. It makes mindfulness feel so much more attainable. It's not this big daunting thing you have to carve out special time for. It's something you can weave into your everyday life.
Exactly. And even those brief moments of mindfulness can have a cumulative effect, training your mind to be more present and aware.
Now, earlier you mentioned mindfulness-based interventions like MBSR and MBCT. You explained that MBSR stands for Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, and it's a program designed to help people manage stress and cultivate well-being.
That's right. It was developed by John Kabat-Zinn back in the 1970s and has helped countless people cope with stress, anxiety, and even chronic pain.
And you said that MBCT stands for Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy, and it combines mindfulness with elements of cognitive therapy.
Right again. Cognitive therapy focuses on identifying and changing negative thought patterns that can contribute to anxiety and depression. So MBCT brings these two powerful approaches together, helping people break free from those negative cycles and develop a more balanced perspective.
Those both sound incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
But are they just for people struggling with specific conditions? Or can anyone benefit from them?
Well, while they were initially developed for clinical settings, these programs are now widely available to anyone. You'll find them offered at hospitals, community centers, even by private practitioners.
So you don't need a diagnosis to participate. You just need a desire to manage stress, cultivate emotional well-being, or enhance your overall quality of life.
Exactly. It's like preventative medicine for your mind, building resilience, and equipping yourself with the skills to navigate the challenges of life with more ease and grace.
I love that analogy. Now, I'm curious about the origins of mindfulness. We've talked about its modern applications and scientific backing, but where did this practice come from?
Mindfulness meditation has its roots in ancient Eastern traditions, particularly Buddhism. It's been practiced for centuries as a way to cultivate awareness, compassion, and wisdom.
Oh, yes. I had a feeling there was a Buddhist connection. But how did it make its way into mainstream Western culture? It seems like it's everywhere these days.
That's a great question. In the mid-20th century, Western scholars and practitioners started exploring Eastern philosophies and meditation practices. Figures like John Kabat-Zinn, who we mentioned earlier, who developed MBSR, played a key role in introducing mindfulness to the West and adapting it for modern contexts.
So it went from ancient monasteries to modern hospitals and research labs.
Exactly. And along the way, it's been embraced by people from all walks of life, healthcare professionals, educators, business leaders. It's truly become a global phenomenon.
It's incredible how something that originated thousands of years ago is still so relevant and impactful today.
It speaks to the timeless wisdom of mindfulness. It addresses a fundamental human need, the need for peace, clarity, and connection. And those needs transcend cultural boundaries and time periods.
And in today's world, with all its complexities and distractions, mindfulness offers a refuge, a way to reclaim our attention, regulate our emotions, and cultivate a sense of well-being. It's like an antidote to the stresses of modern life.
I like that. An antidote.
You've painted such a compelling picture of the benefits and history of mindfulness. But what about the challenges? What are some common obstacles people might face when they first start practicing?
One of the biggest hurdles is simply finding the time to practice. We live in a fast-paced world, and it can be hard to carve out even a few minutes for yourself.
Tell me about it. I'm always feeling pulled in a million directions. But you mentioned earlier that even short bursts of mindfulness can be beneficial.
Absolutely. It's more about consistency than duration. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a difference. It's about making mindfulness a priority, just like you prioritize other important things in your life.
So it's about recognizing that investing in your mental and emotional well-being is just as important as investing in your physical health or your career.
Exactly. Another challenge people often encounter is getting discouraged when their mind wanders. They think they're doing it wrong, or that they're not good at meditation.
I can definitely relate to that. It's so easy to get frustrated when your thoughts start swirling. But I think you mentioned earlier that a wandering mind is actually a normal mind.
That's right. The key is to approach those wandering thoughts with a sense of gentle curiosity and non-judgment. Simply notice them and gently guide your attention back to your anchor, your breath, a sound, or a physical sensation.
So it's about treating your mind with the same kindness and compassion you'd offer a friend who's struggling.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that your mind is going to wander. That's just what minds do, and that's perfectly okay. The practice is about gently guiding it back, over and over again.
That's a really helpful reframe. Are there any other challenges that come up for people?
Some people find it difficult to sit still or find a quiet space to practice. In those cases, walking meditation or other forms of mindful movement can be a great alternative.
I love how adaptable mindfulness is. It's not a rigid set of rules, but rather a fluid practice that can be tailored to your individual needs and preferences.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really important point. Mindfulness is a journey, not a destination.
So it's not about reaching some state of perfect mindfulness where your mind never wanders and you're always calm and serene.
Not at all. It's about approaching the practice with patience, curiosity, and a willingness to learn and grow. There will be ups and downs, moments of clarity, and moments of distraction. The practice is about showing up day after day and cultivating that awareness, regardless of what arises.
Now, before we move on, I want to clarify something I've always been a bit fuzzy on. The difference between mindfulness and meditation. Are they interchangeable, or is there a distinction?
That's a great question. They're often used interchangeably, but there is a subtle yet important difference. Mindfulness is a state of being, a quality of awareness you can cultivate through various practices, including meditation.
So mindfulness is the broader concept, and meditation is one way to access it.
Exactly. Meditation is a formal practice that involves setting aside dedicated time to cultivate mindfulness. But you can also be mindful without formally meditating, like when you're paying attention to your breath while walking, or savoring each bite of your meal.
It's about bringing that same quality of attention and awareness to whatever you're doing, whether it's a mundane task or a special moment.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of mindfulness. It's not something you have to do. It's a way of being that you can integrate into every aspect of your life.
That's such an empowering message. It means that mindfulness isn't reserved for monks or yogis.
Yeah,
It's accessible to everyone right here, right now.
you got it. It's a gift we can all give ourselves.
Mhm.
Now, I know we're nearing the end of our deep dive, but before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more aspect, the long-term effects of mindfulness. What happens when you make this a regular part of your life? Does it really have the power to change you at your core?
That's a question that gets right to the heart of it. And based on both personal accounts and the growing body of research, I think the answer is a resounding yes. How so?
Well, over time. Mindfulness practice can lead to some pretty profound shifts in how we perceive the world, how we manage our emotions, and our overall sense of well-being.
So it goes beyond those immediate benefits we talked about, like stress reduction or improved focus. It's about developing deeper qualities like presence,
Mm,
compassion, and even wisdom.
exactly. It's about cultivating that non-judgmental awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations, which creates space for a deeper understanding, greater acceptance, and ultimately, more peace.
It sounds like mindfulness isn't just a practice, it's more like a path, a journey of personal growth and transformation.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a journey of self-discovery, a lifelong exploration of what it means to be fully present and awake in this world.
This deep dive has definitely sparked my own curiosity and inspired me to get more serious about my mindfulness practice.
Mm.
I have a feeling our listener is feeling the same way. But before we say goodbye, I want to touch on a few practical questions that often come up. The article we're using actually ends with a FAQ section, so let's dive into those.
Great.
The first question is a simple one. How long should I meditate each day? What's a realistic starting point?
The article suggests starting with just 5 to 10 minutes a day. Consistency is key here, not duration. It's better to meditate for a short time each day than to try to squeeze in a marathon session once a week and then burn out.
That makes perfect sense. It's like building any new habit. Start small and gradually build from there.
Sure.
Okay, next question. Can mindfulness meditation help with anxiety? This is a big one for a lot of people.
It is a big one, and the answer is a definite yes. There's a lot of research now showing that mindfulness can significantly reduce anxiety levels. It's about becoming more aware of those anxious thoughts and feelings and learning to work with them skillfully rather than getting swept away by them.
That's good to hear. Now, this next question is one I've always wondered about. Do I need to sit cross-legged to meditate? Is that a requirement?
Not at all. The article makes it very clear that you can meditate in any position that's comfortable for you. You can meditate sitting in a chair, lying down, or even walking like we talked about earlier. No special equipment or fancy cushions needed.
So no more excuses about not having the perfect meditation space or setup. Okay, last question from the FAQ. Is mindfulness meditation suitable for everyone?
This is something we've touched on a bit throughout this deep dive, but it bears repeating. Mindfulness is a practice that can benefit people of all ages, backgrounds, and walks of life. It's a universal human capacity that we can all tap into.
Whether you're a student, a parent, a CEO,
Oh,
or a retiree, mindfulness has something to offer. It's a truly inclusive practice.
couldn't agree more. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Well, on that inspiring note, I think it's time to bring this deep dive to a close. We've covered so much ground today, from the science of mindfulness to the practicalities of making it a part of your daily life.
It's been a wonderful exploration, a real journey of discovery.
And we hope you, our listener, are feeling inspired to continue exploring the world of mindfulness and all the wonders it holds.
Until next time, may you find moments of peace and presence in your everyday life.
And may your journey of self-discovery be filled with joy and wonder.